Are we here yet? Is it now February? Hello, is this thing on? Welcome to the Chicken Box, everybody. It is a new month, Black History Month. It is also the Love Month, is what they like to say. But we say here at the Afro American newspaper that Black History Month is 365, 24/7. If you don't know what that means, that's 365 days, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Remember that when somebody first said 24/7, did you really know what they were talking about? I'm your host, Kevin Impeccable Peck. This is the Chicken Box where you speak your truth. Yes, not the Chicken Box in Baltimore, four wings and fries, but yep, it is a play on words because, yeah, we're from that area. But this is where you get to stand on the box and speak your truth. This week, we are talking about the business of love. That's right, Black people versus the business of love. Do we know that there is a business when we talk about love? Huh. And people are taking advantage of our lonely hearts. Whew. It's gonna be a juicy one today. Misha Green,
Hello,
another one of your friends. How you
hello.
doing?
Hi, I am feeling good and happy to be back on another episode of Chicken Box. Hello, everybody. This episode I think is going to be a good conversation, and we really want you guys to join us as we talk about the business of love and what it is. Hey, Byron, thanks for giving us a heart. Is that for the business of love or because you love us so both? um, but yeah, we're gonna have a really good conversation. We hope that we had a special guest planning who has a lot of experience in one of the aspects of the business of love, which is dating apps. But we'll get into the nitty gritty of that. But if this guest isn't able to go just with the weather and she's in class and blah blah blah, then we want you guys to possibly engage with us. So put it in the chat if you know what the business of love is.
This might be the first time ever. The Chicken Box is powered by the Afro American newspaper, 130 years almost. Yep, our birthday is in August. We will celebrate the 130 years of informant, educating, inspiring, and it used to be a lonely heart section. We might have to bring that back. I
Yes.
forgot what the actual name is. I'm going to have to look in the archives, Misha, to see what it is. But we dispel truths here at the Chicken Box and stereotypes, but we get a chance to talk about all different types of topics. In this month, this week, at this moment in February, with Valentine's Day, is that still a thing? Right around the corner, people are getting their love ready, or they are hoping that they'd be in love, or they don't want to be in love, or they're tired of being in love. But there is a business out there, and we thought we'd bring it to the attention. A lot of pandemic dating apps popped up. They were already, but they became more popular when we couldn't get out and just meet people like we normally did in the past. I guess the business of love has been around for a while, but man, has it taken off. Who out there has ever used a dating app? If you have, why don't you throw your hands in the air? No. If you have used a dating app, because I haven't. I think I grew up in the time when it was more difficult to get on the dating app, Misha. I represent the Gen Xers, all my Gen Xers out there. I don't know if we were really big on dating apps back then. There may have been some, but I don't know how many were skewed to Black folks. Bonnie, I see your hand up. I got the link up. If you want to join us, this is going to be one of the few days that you can come on. Come on straight to the Chicken Box. We're trying this out for the first time, by the way. So, and talk about your experience on the dating app, the good, the bad, the ugly, what you like, what you didn't like. Was it responsive? How the interaction even flows. Misha,
Yeah.
what was our guest? I know you had invited our guest, and I don't know if she'll show up or not. But
Yeah, our guest was going to talk about it. So our guest is an Afro writer. She's also she's a creative. She's a singer, and very, really multifaceted, creative person. But I talk to her often about dating. Both of us are in the dating pool, and I was out for a while, so it's hard to get back in. And she's been on a few different apps from our conversations, I've downloaded apps, but only one, I'll say it, which is Tinder. But I don't use it. I've never been like on a Tinder date or anything like that. I've had it and I just like wanted to see what the like swipe situation was and all of that. But I am one of those people. I watch a lot of true crime. Y'all, everybody knows if you watch any of our Afro stuff that I'm a germaphobe. And so it's like it's so many layers to the online dating thing that would be difficult for me to just like get myself out there because I would have to like, you know, be concerned about the paranoia of the person, eventually give them the get the nerve to give them my number and potentially FaceTime so I know they're not a catfish. But they could still be a crazy. And then I have to get over that paranoia of them being a crazy and get over the paranoia of COVID and meeting a new person. So it's a lot for me. I've been told several times in the past few weeks, starting at rest in peace to Mr. Brookins, starting at Mr. Brookins' funeral in Mississippi by an over 80, I think she was 85 plus year old woman who told me, I'm not gonna meet no man if I don't go nowhere. So I have taken that advice, if you will, but I'm still paranoid to go places. So, I've internalized it. And that'll be my business of love this year is trying to go places and put myself out there. I'm not sure I'm ready for the dating app yet.
Are you ready for love? There are certain shows. I don't know if you've seen that show on BET, with nephew Tommy hosts. Are you ready for love? Uh, People are taking advantage. I mean, I think the whole Bachelor. My wife loves watching The Bachelor and all of these other things, and it's just the thing of somebody finding a person, I guess, that they want to spend some for the rest of their life. I mean, I got a friend who works on the show Married at First Sight. I come into the room, my wife is watching all of these shows, and sometimes you can peek and you can get caught up, and you say, "Hold on, these people are meeting for the first time when they walk down the aisle." I know it's a check involved, but still, somewhere along the way, they are looking for love, I think. And
What's your perspective on that, Kevin? Because I'll share this first, and I think again, if you guys have been rocking with the Afro, I shared this on live last year because we interviewed Keith, who was on Married at First Sight Atlanta, and or not Atlanta, excuse me, Charlotte. He's from Charlotte, North Carolina. He's Married at First Sight Charlotte. So if y'all remember that, I said that as I was working for the Afro, I think in my first year, and so my Instagram sort of started becoming more and more out there, and I hate this term, but I think people were like starting to reach out to me as like an influencer, and Married at First Sight reached out to me. And I was unsure if I should do, I ultimately did not, obviously. I was not on the DC season of Married at First Sight. I did like a preliminary interview just to see what was up. I'm a PK, and so the sanctity of marriage was sort of what like was a big deal to me. On top of I would be meeting this person for the first time, though it might, I was hoping like, well, the Afro could blow up from it, and
right.
those kinds of things. But I talked to my parents for a long time and ultimately decided not to do it. But for those that don't know, I call Kevin my god daddy. So god daddy, what do you have to say about
First of
it?
all, I'd like to say good afternoon to Bonnie, Jules, Deshane, Kojo, Greg, anybody else tuning in and listen for the first time. This is the Chicken Box, powered by the Afro American newspaper. If you just joined in the middle of conversation, we usually do a Black people versus a topic. Today's topic is the business of love. And whether you know it or not, you've been affected by it. You've bought a card. You've been stimulated to buy a gift. You've done something business related to love. But then, of course, we talking about these TV shows, and then you said, "What would I do if the Married at First Sight?" Well, this is me personally. This is not the views of the Afro, but I'm a man of God, right? So, and I believe that he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. So, if you found her for me, then I'm out of it all the way because I don't have any control of that situation. I haven't gotten a chance to know you. I don't know where you stand spiritually. And if we're unequally yoked, you already setting yourself up for a loss. And there's plenty of friends I know, like who may have married into uh, a marriage and they didn't believe in the same thing, or in the same God, or in the same practices. That they didn't, because there's no way to check or balance at that situation. Because even when you become into yourself and become selfish, if God is not there to check you, and you don't have any kind of check, like like no conscience or nothing that checks your behavior, even when your wife is saying, hey, you acting a fool, you know what I mean? But if you have God on your side, you can go back and he will check you, and you can say, you know what, I was really I was really, really wrong during that situation. And that's where forgiveness comes in. But that married at first sight thing, mm-mm.
You're
Producer,
happy you're happy I didn't do it then, I'm guessing.
I mean, if you were just trying to, I know you're an actress inside, but if you were just trying to get that TV moment, of shine, but it all depends. People go on these shows for different things, and then some people, I think, go on the shows for real because they are really looking for a certain. They're tired of the way that they have been meeting people. I got some friends. I'm like, do you ever meet anybody different? You know what I mean? And I say, he that findeth a wife, if you're looking for a wife, right? Some people are not on these dating apps to look for a wife. Some people are just looking for a hookup. And some of those apps are nothing but hookup apps. But if you are looking for a wife, you got to be looking. It's like, okay, you don't have your keys and you need to drive your car and you don't remember where they are in your house. You are actively looking for your keys. So if he that findeth, that means you have to be looking for a wife. Now, women, you have to be somewhere to be found. If you know where to be found, I don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So I guess that's what makes the dating apps attractive and, in some cases, unattractive. I was on the box. I'm a Gen Xer. I never been on a dating app. I heard about dating apps. I didn't have a problem dating. I didn't have a problem meeting people. I mean, I guess in our era, it was a lot of parties. It was a lot of clubs, even in church, even at affairs, people, we would have game night, all these things that you had a chance to meet some new and different people. And then you would talk on the phone. You know what I mean? You talk on the phone and you fall asleep on the phone and all that good stuff back then. So
Yeah, that's the difficulty is now, you can't even feel comfortable going to these places to meet people, that and luckily, I think the world is opening back up, if you will, and hopefully by the summer, I hope that luck will change, right? But right, I don't even think that's a back in the day thing. I think you should still be able to go to parties and game nights and all of that and meet a person. It's just that we're in COVID.
right, but then there's that friend, right, that you see who's looks like they're super happy, and you
Yeah,
always say, "Well, does your well?" I would get questions from like my wife's friends or my girlfriend in the past. Does he have a friend? Now, I could have a friend, but that doesn't mean the friend the friend has the same values as me, or what I mean, just because I have a friend. Uh, Shout out to Q. Q says she met her husband at Tuskegee.
nice.
his
Oh,
his fraternity was taking donations. I like the stories. Man, I wish somebody would be bold enough to come up today, since in this business of love, the link we put it in there. You could just come join in the conversation. We're gonna pop you right in. Hopefully you can keep it family friendly. If not, we'll kick you out. But we would love for you to come in.
oh, Jules
Jules said,
said
my husband and I met at a wedding. Ah,
beautiful. At 17 years. Oh, we got to hear this story, Jewel.
come on,
Yeah.
Jules.
So
Pop on. We've been seeing you in the chat. You're one of the jewels of the chicken box. Come on and tell us about your story uh, of love. Chippy said she has been unlucky in love, but she loves love. So
same.
sometimes people get disappointed, they get misdirected, they get heartbroken, or they have had a challenge with finding the person that they really feel that they want to spend time with and be in love with. Uh, and they get frustrated and they give up on love. But Chippy said, you know what? I still love love. And so when love really comes down the street, um, she's gonna be ready for it. I don't know how many of you out there are lyrical people, but I was looking up "Ready for Love," and y'all remember that song by India Arie?
Love it. One of my
She
favorite
was
songs.
like, I am ready for love. She's like, she's asking the question, why are you hiding from me? She
Yeah.
said, I'd quickly give my freedom just to be held in your captivity. What does that mean? She is ready to give up her freedom of being single just to be in the captivity of love. Do they still write songs like that anymore, Misha?
I, I, I think so. I think so. Also, the good thing is that all these streaming services, if not, we have those. I think it's safe to say that that song is now considered a classic like "Ready for Love" by India Arie and the other many great love songs out there. Um, but you were talking about investing in love, and somebody talked about the app thing, and I want to go back to it because I found the great article about investing in apps, right? There's all these apps for dating, but you can get the free trial or the free version, but they're premium versions of these apps. So, according to an article, a dating coach by the name of Sophie Thomas says it's absolutely possible to meet your ideal match using free services. However, if you're serious about this essential area of life, then investing in dating is an active commitment to show up at your highest level. Paid subscriptions also tend to grant better search facilities, which can save time. If you definitely want children, for example, then there's no point scrolling through the hundreds of people who don't. So I thought that was really interesting because I think that a lot of people just go with the free thing just to try it. They aren't investing in it because they don't know anything about it. But to look at, as you said, what a man does, someone who's investing and intentional about finding a wife, I think that in the same way, if you're investing and intentional about finding love, then you might have to spend a little money there. Nowadays, I mean, in the same way, you spent money to go to parties and clubs and look cute for the night. And so you don't got to do that. You just got to pay your $14.99 a month or however much it is, and chat with folks and put on lipstick and just talk from here up.
I agree with you totally. If you just tuned in, this is the Business of Love, Black People versus the Business of Love on the Chicken Box, powered by the Afro American newspaper. Before, I wanted to just say Kojo, he said he met his first online he meet date. Oh, I can't even read. My first online I met and dated resulted in a beautiful 16-day cruise.
Wow.
Once you caught up in the cruise, you stuck on that boat. They had a show back in the day called the Love Boat, and that's where they would go on those cruises, and you never know who you're gonna meet on those cruises. With all of these variants, people are not so anxious to jump on the cruise. I know this couple right here. They met playing Pinochle. That is that game. I don't know if they still play Pinochle, but somebody out there plays Pinochle. 4 months later, they were married, and then they celebrated their 48th anniversary. Happy anniversary. And that is
Happy anniversary.
to the CEO, Mr. and Mrs. Draper. That is
Yeah.
their love story. 4 months. They knew. Some people would say that's too quick, but God knew different. 48 years. They've outlasted a bunch of couples out there. But I'm going to get back to your point. It is some people who are I'm going to call you cheap. You know what I mean? Because you pay for what you want to pay for. But if in fact you're going to get on a dating app, stop trying to get everything for free. The cost that you pay is much less than a date of going on. I don't think you're going to get one entree for most of the time what they're going to pay for a month. And I get it. You get a chance. You can get to know a person on this app way before you even have your first encounter, to the point where you can decide whether or not you want to meet up beyond the chat box and beyond the FaceTime, like you said, the catfishing. If you don't
Yeah.
know what that is, please explain catfishing for people who maybe never use a dating app or anything.
So, catfishing is a term that just describes someone who is using a false profile, a false person, and lying on the internet. So, for example, my name is Misha Green, but if I have a picture of Halle Berry, I'm catfishing in that way, even though I could still be saying my name was Misha Green. But and many times people create whole new personas. So not only do they have a different name, but sometimes they're using different numbers just to communicate on that line. They have several pictures of this one person who's not them. So that's really what catfishing is. Then there's a much softer version of it, and I'm saying this in all ways of facts as opposed to offend anyone. But again, I think that this is a not as offensive version of catfishing too, right? But where like it's just like it's just my face, right, and no body pics, and then I'm like 800 pounds, that kind of thing happens pretty often. I hear on social media, a lot of people get catfish where, and so you might even be FaceTiming with the person and everything. And you take the sister or brother, to dinner, and they are totally different. I mean, I remember years ago, a friend of mine met a guy online. She really liked him. He was a professional. And she met him, and he was significantly shorter than her. So they had FaceTime the whole time. But she like goes in for the hug and is like towering over him. That threw her off. And so
Let me ask that question, ladies. Is that a thing? Is height a thing? Put it in the chat. Is height a thing?
it is
Is
for
it?
me. It is for me, and it's not for everybody. And I've dated one of my long time boyfriends, if people consider this long, but we were together like 3.5 years in my early 20s, and he was my height, like he was my height. Maybe with us when in our stocking feet, he was maybe like here to me a little bit, depending on what my hair was given, and he had dreads, so depending on what his hair was given. But it wasn't a thing for him, and it wasn't truly a thing for me because I cared about him. But like when I would wear heels, it was a thing. Like that became a thing, and even if it wasn't for him, I felt like the Jolly Green Giant walking around him, even if
Did you call him Shorty?
never,
Oh.
never.
What's up,
I
Shorty?
I could not. No, I really couldn't. But it did become a thing. I mean, to the point that, when girls are like fantasizing about their wedding, I'm a heels girl. And I would say stuff like, yeah, I want to wear Chucks to my wedding. Like, I currently do not own a pair of Converse right now.
That's
but,
hilarious.
but
So
like,
the funny thing, you said you were fantasizing about your wedding. This is
well,
the Afro. No, I know I'm
that's
saying,
what I
but
was doing,
but
because I
as
cared, but
from
I still
children.
now, wouldn't do it.
No, I'm saying from young ages, little girls, when they even playing with their Barbies, they're all in the wedding. They have put this elaborate wedding thoughts, like you said, fantasizing about the wedding. You already know what kind of heels you want to wear, the dress, where you want it to be. Is it the daytime? All the details that men care probably nothing about. Or most men. I'm not gonna say all because it may be somebody out there. I don't know who you are, but I may be somebody out there who men just say they're gonna be married one day. We don't go through, at least the people I know. I don't want to put all of us in the boat, but we don't go through all of the details that a woman usually has ready in her mind about that day. And women sometimes might miss the guy who loves them the most because they have put all of these other things in, i.e., height. What I mean? The guy might be the best dude, but he's just a little shorter than you are. You know what I mean? But the guy who's taller, he treats you like crap. You know what I'm saying? He's
Sure.
disrespectful. He doesn't treat you like the queen that you're supposed to be treated. But we put on these preconceptions of what it should be and end up sometimes with the guy you thought was going to be that person is now turns out to be like the monster in the closet.
I agree. I guess my only retort to that would be, but I think there's certain things for humans, that it makes you feel who you are, and I think sometimes relates to your partner. That's not how it should be.
But did you know that when you sit down, everybody's the same height?
And that's also not true. That's just also not true. My daddy's 6'5", and I know that not to be true.
It's really lay down, but I was trying to keep it peaceful.
Yeah, no, right.
Anyway, anywho,
But yeah, I guess my whole thing is I absolutely agree with that, and I think that the people who realize that are open to finding that person for them. And so, like me in my situation, I never thought I would date a guy who in heels I was taller than, but because I really liked him at the time, it was 3.5 years of dealing with not dealing with it, right? But I also think, and I was younger, and so maybe that wouldn't be something to me now, but for certain people, how they relate and how they are perceived by the public, etc., matters to them. And so if it ignites or triggers some level of insecurity and it's your partner doing that, that's also not your person, and that's fine. I think that's also fine. And I'm saying this without really attempting to be shallow, because it's not about that, right? It shouldn't be about looks, it shouldn't be about those things. But I also think that if at the end of the day you're going to feel self-conscious, it's going to trigger something in you because you're towering over your man, then that's fine. And then the people who are significantly taller than their man and love it, because I've seen those couples too. I know those couples too. I'm friends with a couple couples like that as well. And they love it and it doesn't trigger anything in them. But that's the same thing. And by the way, men are the same way. I've talked to a lot of men who feel uncomfortable with certain things about a woman, or their partner. Kevin Hart and his wife, yes, Taylor, is a perfect example. They're super happy. But, if there's certain things about their woman, it triggers them to have a level of insecurity. That means that I'm not your person. Because if you feel insecure that I like wearing my hair long, right? If that's a thing that I like, right? And your partner doesn't like that, then I'm not your person. I'm not gonna cut my hair, you know?
absolutely. Some people are looking for happiness and they don't have any joy. In most relationships, when they say they're not happy, they need something to be happening. And when that thing isn't happening for them, they are not happy all of a sudden because they have no internal joy. And so they're looking on situations to make them happy in the relationship. I might be going somewhere, Misha, but look, this business of love is layered. And we see that based on some of the replies from even our listeners today and what we've been reading. What truly is the business of love, Nisha? Is there some sort of definition for the business of love?
It's not. And, I thought it would be really easy to find. I found a lot of movies and songs, that relate to it. But it's so funny. The business of love is truly so many different things. It's from a wedding planner is in the business of love, a divorce lawyer is in the business of love, one could argue. Brothel madams, I found a lot of information about that, right? Escorts, to people could argue
Is that
those.
love?
Well, right, people could argue that's not love, but people could say divorce isn't either, right? But all those people are in the umbrella of it. Now, the more traditional kind of business of love, right, would be matchmakers, dating coaches, dating and relationship and marriage counselors, also dating apps, right? Anyone who's in the dating app world would be considered in very directly within the business of love. But yeah, I think it's really interesting. There's so many different layers of it. Right now, there's a really famous Black, gorgeous influencer named Devin Simone, who is a matchmaker. And if you look at Married at First Sight, right, sort of all of the pros that they bring in there, these like Black influencers and counselors and things like that. So like Black people are definitely involved within this business of love, not as much as we'd like to see it in the tech space, but absolutely that too. BLK, which is an app we've talked to before, Black People Meet, blacklove.com. We're in these spaces, but it's so incredibly layered that there's not just one definition. And as you said, such as the brothels, the escorts, even dancers, all those are, considered to some people in the business of love, but others ask, is that really love? But it is business.
Man, all business isn't good. If you just tuned in, this is Black People versus the Business of Love, which, Target's in the business of love, Amazon's in the business of love. They all, all of your jewelry stores are in the business of love. They say June is the wedding month. It is a lot. Put something in the chat what you think is the business of love. Going back to the height, Kojo said most people hung up on height are only hung up in public.
Yeah, it's totally about a public perception.
Perception, right? So so does the public or your friends determine who you date?
But okay, and let me actually also clap back on that, because I agree with you in that sense too. But there's this is, we might need to like take this part of the conversation for Afro After Dark or something like that. But there are certain things,
I like
and
that.
how you're held, etc., that you feel when the person is smaller than you. Like it's not just and again, it could just be based on who the person is and how you are. But like, I'm almost 5'6", and so I'm not a very tall human, but I noticed I noticed that my partner, my boyfriend, was significant. When he would hug me or anything like that, it felt different than somebody taller. I don't think it's just public perception. I think you also do feel certain things. People always love to say, it's the same laying down as Kevin said, but that's actually not quite the truth in all facets. Because again, at the end of the day, especially if you have something to compare it to, if you were used to going like this and now suddenly you're like this, and that's not you notice it.
That's funny. I guess guys don't think, I don't know. I guess if the girl was really taller than you as a guy,
then
guys,
like, and you laying your head on your
just
woman,
like,
that would be weird. Like, maybe not, but like for me, you know what I'm saying? For me to have to, in a sad moment, if I was crouching down on my man, trying to
crying on his head,
the top
crying
of
on
his
his forehead.
yeah, I would feel weird about it. I would not find comfort in
Is
that.
it like a comfort and a security? Is that a
It
comfort and
is.
security thing? Because most babies, right, when they lay on their parents' chest or on their dad's chest, rest their head right here. Is that kind of like that same security and comfort in the
Maybe.
relationship?
Maybe I never correlated the two because I don't have no babies, but I think that I it makes perfect sense to me. It makes
But
perfect.
you laid on your dad's chest as a child,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah.
No, my dad can tell. I'm a parents girl. Both of my parents to this day would probably could get a mama and daddy bear hug and lay on chest.
So how does that work? Because I know some people just naturally aren't huggers. So in a dating situation, some people, they meet you right away. I don't care what, they've never seen you in life, and they're already like, bring it in. They're in the space, maybe different in the pandemic. Does that affect you does that affect? I mean, put it in the chat. Are you a hugger?
I'm as germophobic as I am. Surprisingly, I'm a big hugger, and I do notice that in sort of this, at least the single world, right? Like, I might have like met that person earlier and at the night, and there's like a flirting moment and blah blah blah. So then do like I just met them really, but then I'm like ready to give them the hug at the end of the night. And when I'm not, it's very obvious and I like shut it down. But because I'm such a hugger, it's just that it's almost like a natural thing versus it's because I'm interested in the person, if that makes sense, or because I know the person is interested in me. I'm a natural hugger. So I mean, I do that with women after I meet them for the first time. If I love them, it's a hug at the end of the conversation. I'm a hugger, and even in COVID world, I double mask and throw that those arms out for my hugs.
Is it a side hug like church? Kind of side.
It's side huggy, but the look of it is it's about to be too much only to be churchy.
Oh, so you come in like it's gonna be a full frontal hug, and then you right at the last minute you slide to the side to act.
Yeah, but it's because I want you to know the love is there. The
I
germs
got you. I
are
got
also
you.
going. So we
That's
gotta.
what the virtual hugs are.
Oh, our guest is in.
All right,
She's
pop her on.
Hello, can you all hear me?
We can
we
hear
can
you.
fine.
I
Yama
am
Che,
so sorry. I'm a teacher and I was teaching art and it went over and so I'm glad I could step in at all.
Why don't you
well,
introduce our guest, Misha?
I'm gonna
Welcome to
introduce
the Chicken Box.
officially. I did give sort of an overview of who you could be if you did come in. So this is Yamache, or as many call her, Michi Kondo. Some people may know her as Michi Correct because she is a known and celebrated. Would you say MC? Is that the right word, Michi? Could you sing
Well,
and
I just call myself a vocalist and I say that I got bars.
okay. Well, okay, so yeah, vocalist, or I earlier I said performer and creative because you do so much. Michi and I met in high school, and started as an actor. We were both in the theater department. She moved to writing and has been a celebrated creative writer, and she freelances with the Afro and has done some really great stories. She just did one that is going viral, at least in AKA land, which is on a food insecurity panel that the AKAs.
With the help of Mish. With the help of Mish.
Well,
Sorry, I had to say that.
I'm gonna just sit back. Welcome to the Chicken Box.
Thank you.
Is it not? Help me with the pronunciation, because
Just say Michi. Just say Michi.
You can call
Okay.
me Michi. It's
Michi
Yamache.
and Misha. Okay, Michi and Misha. Good. We're Black people versus the business of love. This is Black History, but no, it's also the Love Month. So we were getting into what these digital streets are about to say. But now that you're on, how do you feel about the business of love?
The business of love, like love as an energy.
Love as a business.
I feel like it's an easy way to make money.
Yeah, I'm talking about. We've been talking about apps. We've been talking about companies that just thrive on you feeling like you can fall in love. Shows like Ready for Love, Married at First Sight, The Bachelor, all of these other things that have been the conversation before you came in. But I like the vibe. She brings the vibe and the energy of love right into the space. So yes. Speak on it.
Well, I think we're in a pretty trying time right now. I think that the reality, especially in reference, will be specific. And we could say specifically Black love because I'm a Black person and everyone in here is a Black person. I think that specifically, obviously, as we all know, is suffering a bit. And I feel like it's been suffering in a way. And I feel like I actually saw something this morning and it really kind of was like, I thought it was very positive. It was a sister and she basically was like, what did she say? She essentially said that Black women don't love Black women and they don't want us. And the response, his brother responded, I think it was it wasn't a thread. He just responded. And he was immediately like, first of all, we love you. And second of all, and so just from I was like, okay. And so I watched and I appreciated what he had to say. And I'm not going to go deep into that, but I feel like there's a disconnect right now. And I feel like a lot of the dating apps, because we've witnessed so many of them pop up over the years, especially ones that cater specifically to Black people. So like BLK or like POF for everyone that got out of jail, or there's a number of different ones.
Plenty of fishes for.
I mean, a lot of people that hop on Plenty of Fish, they got out of jail. That's a part of it. So anyway, whatever the case may be, I think that the reality is that somebody realized that there was a problem and that it was a marketable business to act like they could be the answer to that problem. When, to be quite honest with you, I don't see it as really helping matters because we're in the age of swipe. Everybody's attention span is very short, even in reference to interacting with others. So it's almost like those apps make it convenient for people to really just base their perception of someone on how they look, right? So as a result of that, they don't like the way that you look, they can swipe you out or whatever. So my whole point is, I think that unfortunately there are some disconnects, and I feel like people have been able to market off those disconnects. Now, obviously, there's success out here. There's beautiful things happening. There's a lot of people, that are trying to assert that love ain't dead and all that different stuff. But I think that for better purposes, it's a combination of things happening. And a lot of times we're leaning up in business and superficial territory in reference to that.
Boom. She said, we're in the era of swipe, people. I don't know if you're in the area of swipe. They're swiping on Instagram, they're swiping on TikTok, and they are swiping on these dating apps. Some are purely hookup, and others are purely hookup. No. So, and some people are looking for that, and they're not looking for love. They're looking for something completely different. But we're talking about the business of love, which we understand that these companies run a business. But you said some really good things, Michi, about the black men in the chat. We love, I'm gonna speak for myself and all the black men. No, we love black women. I mean, they are the heartbeat of our community and the family, you know what I mean? And they are the glue that keeps us together when we go offline. And that's my story. And I'm sticking with that. And that's an impeccable quote. And I'm going to live by it. And for those who don't love black women and you're black, I'm not going to really understand, because that means you don't even love your mother. So you're having a problem just loving black women, period. That doesn't mean that you have to fall in love with a black woman. You know what I mean? Because love is, like I'm going to go back, Babyface said, and you never know. You never know. Love makes things happen. And you don't know when you're gonna fall in love. And when you try to set up all the perfect scenarios to make it happen, you're interfering with the process of how chemistry works and how really you can fall in love. That's a whole nother show. But let's, because we're wrapping down in time. This is a chicken box where you get on the box, and if you're from the DMV area.
I'm from Washington, D.C. specifically.
Wow. Okay.
She lives in Baltimore, so she knows what a chicken box is.
Okay, so that's what
I know what a chicken box is, and I know what a chicken box is. Yes, one of my students actually just came in here with a chicken box. I don't understand why he thought that was okay, but I do know what a chicken box is. Okay, just like 5 wings and some mumbo sauce. Let's keep it a buck. Right. I'm vegetarian at that, so I don't even eat these things, but I do know.
Absolutely.
That mumbo sauce though, it can go on French fries too, though. So it's
yes, it can. Yes,
it can. That's the thing. But I have some. I live in Atlanta, but I sent for some mumbo sauce because it's good. I don't know how we got there.
Good for you. That's a positive thing.
We talked about chicken, so everybody started talking about food. That's how the show really started. We were going to sit around, eat chicken from different places. People were going to grill.
So right. Go ahead.
And everybody
vegan wings. We said including vegan wings.
We're going to include vegan wings and can talk about topics. Okay, so getting on the box is where you speak your truth about this business of love and about the black business. Have you ever used a dating app?
What you think?
I don't know. Let me look hard into your eyes. Yes.
You want me to list the dating sites?
I just want to say, what is the experience?
Unless you're willing.
For
somebody who hasn't used one and was thinking about it, like what happens when you use a dating app?
Let me sit my phone down so that I can have some stability. So let's get into it really quickly. I'm just going to go down the list, okay? So obviously, again, I already said, yes, I have been on some dating sites. I am currently not on any because they are a hot mess, but we'll get to that. So you have POF. POF is a bit rough. A lot of people in POF, like I said, a lot of them brothers, they seem like they just got out the penitentiary. That's POF. I don't know if you want to go there. We have Tinder. Now, obviously, everybody's on Tinder, right? Tinder is pretty broad and across the spectrum, right? But most people on Tinder, there's already an established culture with Tinder that's very much leaning towards, that side. You know what I'm saying? I don't want love. I want to love for the night. That's Tinder, right? So Hinge is interesting, but people on Hinge tend to be a bit weird. They're a little off. I'm keeping it a buck. Okay, if you're on Hinge, don't be offended by me because I used to be on Hinge too. So, but Hinge, I would say, is a little tame. I would even say that Tinder is decently tame, considering, right? But let's see, what else do we have? BLK. So BLK, you know what I'm saying? I think that some people have had success with BLK. Me personally, I have not. Okay, but so yes, I'm going down the list. I'm going to stop because I can
I
keep
had a
going.
friend who I didn't even know. I mean, and this guy was a guy who he had a line of women in college. You would never thought he met one of the person that he's in love with on Bumble, but it was because her student set the teacher up. Well, she was a teacher and a doctor at med school. Her student said, "You need to get out and meet some people." They set her up on Bumble. He got on Bumble and said something like, "I got 4 kids. I'm divorced. I'm hard to get along with." He said everything that would make a person say they didn't want to pick you, and that intrigued her. And they've been together for 6 years. So I had never heard of Bumble. I was like, "You did what? You met on where?" But anyway, thank you for the rundown. She said some names. We don't promote any one of them, but they're out there. She's off all of them.
I'm
Why?
off all of them, James.
Why are you off all of them?
Folks, no, I'm not on this at all, but I know Bumble. I've heard of it. Bumble is the one, just so that people know the significance of this story, where the woman reaches out first. Isn't that correct? And so that means that, oh, you didn't know this about your
That's
friends.
not. That's not. Hinge is not like. I don't know. Bumble like that.
I think Bumble is too, where the woman, I think, messages first. I'm pretty sure.
Well,
That's
okay.
progressive. That's very progressive.
And so, the fact that she was so, or either the med students, one of them were so intrigued by his funny bio, makes it even more significant because she was intrigued enough to message first.
Intrigue, is that what keeps you to the next? Is that what gets you to the next level in the dating business, dating apps?
Who, me? Who?
Anybody? I mean, is it intrigue? Is it, like you said, in the world of swipe? Is it the fact that you just you saw something visually that appealed to you?
I think that would be the only. I mean, I think the reality is when you're on those particular apps. You see, I'm doing art with students. I got art on mine. When you are in those particular apps, it's only but so much information on that person, right? So it's very quick, right? So somebody just gave us the breakdown of Bumble, but when you see.
Thank you, producer. So I'm happy I was right. Okay. Thank you for fact checking me and giving the beautiful answer.
You are right, Niche. That's deep. I never knew that about Bumble. So I think that there's only a little bit of time that you had, like there's only a little bit of space, paragraph blurb about a person on the actual, what's it called, right? So you're basing it off of what you see. Oh, that person, is an Aquarius, like myself. Or that person doesn't have any kids and smokes socially, or they're about vegan activities and parkour. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying that to say that it's a very small blurb about the person. So only a portion of your interest will be based on that. The rest of that interest will be based on how that person looks. How tall is that person? All the physical things, I think, would be. That's why I think it's a lot of times, and I'm not saying you can't have success, but I think that more often than not, it's very like, it's vanity, materialism, whatever, because it's only a short period of a little blurb about that person. I think automatically it immediately is based on something that is very like empty in a way. It's empty. And I just, for me personally, I tried a couple different stuff. I met a couple different brothers, hung out here and there, that type of thing. But one thing that I found that was consistent, and you have to excuse the background noise, we're wrapping up our day here. One thing for me that I found was consistent was, for the most part, they all wanted the same thing. And maybe that's not all they wanted, right? And maybe that's not all anybody wants. But a lot of times there was a trend. I would see trends and it wouldn't change. And it would be unfortunate because it would be like a different person, different looking person, different career. You're from a different place. You have a different career. But when it came to why they were on that site, I started finding that it was a thread of similarities and none of them had much depth. And so for me, to be honest, it scared me away from that. Scared me, but I'm just not. I feel like it's a waste of time, unfortunately. And I feel like I'm wrong because we have success stories here. There's success stories here, right?
Absolutely.
But on the other hand, I feel like it's a bit of a tough land to be in. You start not trusting. It all seems the same after a while. That's my opinion.
Absolutely. But you've been an active user and you had a chance.
I'm not active. Take that back.
I said you've been.
Okay. Past tense. Okay.
Right. You've been an active user.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so your opinion matters because you actually have been in that particular situation to experience it. So Misha, what are the digital streets talking about when it comes to this business of love? You have time? We're gonna go just a few minutes over because it's our channel and we can. It's not NBC saying, "Hey, shut it down."
Yeah. So like I told you, I gave y'all kind of what the digital streets were up to. I will say I'll give you guys some of the popular matchmakers and Black matchmakers and dating coaches that are out there to look up. And so the first is, and I got this list, I should give them their props, from myrelash.com. And so the first is Tana Gilmore and Kelly Fisher. Tana Gilmore and Kelly Fisher of the matchmaking duo, also called Fisher Gilmore Matchmaking, or FGM. All these people are online. They have websites, so look them up, y'all. Julie Wadley of Eli Simone Matchmaking, and Julie Wadley started Eli Simone to help others who are successful professionally, but feel like they're missing something or someone to sort of like complete their lives. And so she challenges successful professionals to get back to basics and really figure out like what they want in order to build fulfilling lives. Then there's Jasmine Diaz of the Diaz Dating Group. She's actually the first person who came up. And she's a renowned dating strategist, matchmaker, and the founder of Relash, which I'm sure she was one of the first that came up. But she founded myrelash.com, as well as Diaz Dating Group and co-creator of the award-winning Smart Match app. And her client.
No, I'm just saying. What was your query? What was your search in Google to pull these all up?
Oh my gosh, I did. To find these names, I found black matchmakers and Black dating coaches. But to find like what the digital streets were up, and I mean, I was all on Twitter and Instagram and just what I normally do. Of course, all through Google. The business of love, people was not like a top. I feel like we're the first that sort of has put it out as a topic in this way. No one is categorizing it this way. And so one, that's great because we're the Afro. We should be the first. But also I think because it's a topic that's important to Black people.
Absolutely. I mean, I like the list, but I was just thinking, were people saying anything like, I prefer a matchmaker over an app, or I've used a matchmaker?
And yeah, for sure. And I think at this point, people, again, matchmaking are for all of the matchmakers are for people, and we talked about this earlier, who are investing in their dating. You're paying a person at this juncture to help you.
So you're that successful, you're that busy that you would like for somebody to narrow down the field for you so that you can at least get a shot to be in a conversation even before a date with a person to see if you can even go beyond the conversation.
Or you're not successful and that busy, but maybe you're awkward and don't know how to date, because that's what dating coaches do too. It's not just people who are helping, like matchmakers who are helping singles meet. It's also people who are helping you learn how to have conversations, learn how to talk to people. I mean, I taught a lot of students who are very high functioning, but like on the spectrum, right? Who I would imagine maybe might like a dating coach one day, And so that doesn't mean that they're millionaires and so busy and that they don't have time. Right now for me, by no means am I financially balling, and I have probably enough time to meet somebody if I really wanted to go out there, but it would be an investment, and maybe not me doing those Uber Eats that Kevin always references, right? Or it might not be getting those Amazon deals that I absolutely love and get 24/7, because I'm investing in my love. I don't think it has to do with a person's status as much as a person's preparedness for love.
Michi?
Yes.
Do you think first impressions of men, whether it's either their first line of their text or the first thing that they say out their mouth, can they mess it up for the whole rest of the trip?
Absolutely.
Opening lines.
I mean, sometimes I've experienced, sometimes there's redemption, I think, depending, right? But I mean, for me personally, I definitely think that first impressions are very important. Again, redemption is imminent, okay, right? But I mean, if you come off break in reference to, say, for example, someone like me, I'm not going to pay you any attention. But that's the type of woman I am, and that's where I am in my life. I'm not like, maybe if you had came to me when I was a little bit younger, you know what I'm saying, and said something to me outlandish, perhaps I might have been like a little not established in myself to understand what is acceptable and unacceptable. But I think that if you are a woman or a person in general, man or female, man or woman, or however if someone identifies, considering the era we are in these days and whatnot, I think that, I think that I'm very conscious of that. Mm-hmm. That's why I avoid a lot of mess these days. I don't acknowledge if it's some signs. I can't get with that, because it'll come back down the line and then it's a big glaring thing and it has to be dealt with. But you might be too deep in there by then. So I think that for me to save myself a lot of whatever, I definitely pay attention to first interactions. I think that is important. But again, sometimes redemption is afoot. So I don't know, maybe others don't get down like me.
I mean, I think that's a big point, because like Misha said, some people awkwardly or not awkwardly, they try to be funny initially, and they're really not funny. They try to say something like it's an icebreaker kind of thing, to just because you don't know the person, and so you are trying to gain some common ground in that first interaction. And sometimes you mess up. So
I think it's about energy, though, more important. I think because sometimes, again, you're right. People and some brothers, it's funny. And I'm just a quick anecdote. It's a quick thing about me. So I go back and forth to Africa, to Ghana specifically. And when I went this past summer, there was a brother I had become cool with online. I actually think I slid in his DMs. I was being bold. It might have been Sagittarius season. And so whatever the case may be, we became cool over distance. So when I came to Ghana, I arrived at nighttime, basically, or the day. And then I wanted to hang out. I was trying to go to the club. I was trying to have a good time, do something. And this brother basically was like, can we link tomorrow? Now, Ghana is 5,000 miles away. Now, I didn't go for him, right? I went for other stuff, business included. But if you like me, like you say you like me, come on, bro, link up. So, the type I am, I felt like it was mad weird. I'm like, you got a shorty. And so I basically ended up icing him. I iced him. I blocked him on everything. Quit. Okay? And so that was that for me. I've been through enough. I'm cool in my mind. So he resurfaced recently. And he basically was like, I didn't feel I felt like I needed to get he basically said he wanted to get a shape up and he wanted to look presentable. This is what he said now. I wanted to look presentable. I didn't feel like I looked presentable. And someone like me cut the brother off. So I think that it is subjective. And but I think that more than anything, it's about that energy. Because somebody could say something crazy, but if y'all got that vibe, I should be a matchmaker myself, okay, baby? I'm hearing myself talk. It's about that vibe. And that vibe, you can get comfortable enough to get past the stuff that might be awkward. So that's it's an exception. If the vibe, what's the vibe?
But you put you felt the vibe and the boundary, and he could have been
lying.
He could have been lying, one, or he could have been telling the truth and not one to say, I'm not in my best self for my first physical meeting. And he didn't know how to say it and said tomorrow. And you said, wait a minute, I've been on this 1,000,000-hour flight to Ghana, and you talking about tomorrow. Sagittarius in the house, your friends are showing up. They like, look, Negro, you should have put a hat on.
Around.
You should have brushed your teeth and put a hat on and came and said what's happening. You know what I mean? It was, or something. And then he would have said, hey, you already dug him. Obviously, if y'all had a conversation, so that probably wouldn't have mattered, right? Whether he needed to shape up or not.
Nah, those types of things. Yeah, I think that, and I still think he's lying. I think he had a shorty.
Or he couldn't get out of his situation. If you think he's lying, probably you were right.
But maybe he was waiting for his female, his lady to give him some air to breathe so he could come see me. You see, that's the mind. You understand? That's the mind.
I got you.
It's subjective. It's subjective.
But a lot of times your first instinct is right, but sometimes you try to block it out. Sometimes you walk like a duck and it quacks.
It's a duck, baby.
It's a duck, but you wanted to be an eagle so bad that you almost can envision it. But all right, before we jump off, because we can keep this conversation going on because it's been going on from the beginning of time, dating and relationships and love. But what was happening in the archives of the Afro-American newspaper for today's Afro Fact?
So today's Afro Fact is inspired by the February 6, 1954 edition. And just to be clear, the Afro has always been in the business of telling news. And sometimes the news is about love. And so in that edition, there are two scorned lovers' stories. One headline read, "Wife called cruel for cheating, telling." And the other read, "Archie Moore's wife files suit." The first story about the cheating wife was about how a trombonist named Freddie Ohms lost his suit for a divorce on his wife after it was proven in court that he condoned her cheating ways at some point. Now, however, the court did rule that they should be legally separated since the woman admitted, and I quote, to open and notorious adultery with a famous Black obstetrician. Okay, so sis said I was out here doing it. Okay, but you can't divorce me. You can separate, but I'm still getting your money. Is basically what happened. Now, the other situation.
That sounded like entanglement back then. Anyway, keep going.
Exactly. So the other situation was about the light heavyweight champion Archie Moore and his wife. And his wife was filing a suit against him because, I guess Moore had been acting up a lot. In fact, the week before, I suppose, we had reported on the fact that Archie and his wife were back together. They had worked it out somehow financially. Well, I guess not. She said she only had 50 name. And so Moore had a fight that week, and she decided that she was going to file the lawsuit that week, which provided him from getting his $50,000 purse because she had 50 cents to her name. And so that's this week's Afro Fact. Both of these women knew what they were doing, and they got their money, and I'm here for that.
Wow. Yeah, you don't have all this technology. You had to really catch a person back then. Like you literally had to physically pretty much come in the room, catch them, or the girlfriend, somebody, the brother, somebody you had to catch. It was hard to catch, but once they caught him, I guess they put it in in the newspaper. All the dirt. Text, listen. We've been around for 130 years. We're wrapping up another episode of the Chicken Box, Black People versus the Business of Love. Um, if you're looking to find different ways to kind of get to where you're going, if you're looking for a serious relationship or somebody that you want to be in love with, there are things out there that can possibly help you, or not, or this might be the old-fashioned intro from a friend that would work better than any app, and or the person you've overlooked all these years who was just your friend, but you never gave them the chance to go beyond the friend zone. Who knows what it actually is? Look at your face, Michi.
I'm sorry. You know, that came automatically. It wasn't
You got a
intentional.
friend that's
You
right
think
there on
about somebody. You think about
that
somebody.
that friend zone line.
No, I ain't. It's a lie.
So anyway, can you put that number right out? Text Afro to this number. I should know it by heart. 410-936-5002. We're not going to bombard you, but things that are relevant to our community, you will get a text, and you'll know that it's real because we're not owned by any other media or non-African American media. We are truly a Black business, the oldest Black business in Maryland, family owned, and the third oldest Black business in the country. So we know a little bit about business, and we know a lot about our community, and we love y'all. So final words on the box about dating. I'll save you for last, Michi, because you've been a great guest. You got to come back. Misha Green, final words on the business of love, or just whatever you're feeling about this topic.
What's love got to do? No, those are not my final words. I don't have any real pressing things because I think that you guys summed it up in such a beautiful way. This was a great conversation. I will say that, guys, all month long we're talking love. So come back, engage, share this stream, and tell your friends to be ready to join the conversation for some more love and a little bit of mess and a little bit of drama and a lot of laughs on the Chicken Box. Whole month of February we're talking love.
Absolutely. I'm on the box. Somebody called me a serial monogamous at my 50th birthday. I'm on my third and final marriage. I'm like you, Chippy. I never gave up on love. But as a man, sometimes you got to get yourself together, and you got to realize the kingship that you have to take. And sometimes, if you believe in God, I believe in Jesus. I'm just put it out there for free. That doesn't mean you have to, but He works in my life, and so He has certain criteria that He expects me as the king to live up to. And so that's my place that I have found myself. And that's why I can say till death do us part. And I believe in love, but I'm going to do it God's way, because the other ways didn't work out. I'm just going to tell you that. I'm going to give you that one for free. So, and that's my time on the box today. Mishi.
Yes.
Final words.
Well, I think my final words are, one of the biggest things I think is that people go in search of a partner and they are not complete. Like, they are a partial person. And one thing I'm learning is that it's very important, and I've heard this before, and it's just I think it's a saying, it might be a proverb, I don't know. But it's the idea that you're able to love someone when the love for yourself is spilling over. And you have enough to share, is my point. So I think that something important is, I think that everyone should focus on building themselves up and getting themselves in proper alignment, investing in their spirituality like you have, doing different things to ground yourself, beautify your life. And I feel like your higher energy it will be attracted. It'll come your way. So that's what I would say.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. Curtis, Chippy, Bonnie. I can go up. Anybody who left a comment, it's all love. This is the love month. This is if you want to even get that deep, God is love. He's got your back. You don't try to make it happen in the lab yourself all the time. Like I said, men, get on your finding expert position. If you want to find a woman, get to finding. That means you got to do some searching. And women, be somewhere where you can be found. Don't you try to do the finding, because it works backwards against you, and it always backfires.
And don't be afraid of a sister sliding your DM too, though, because some sisters, one of my best friends found one of the father of her child that she will probably marry.
Right. So
he went smack. It's okay to go smack,
so we got
lady.
the generation. Let's define sliding DMs so everybody knows. I know what it is, but just for the listeners,
it's reaching out. It is reaching out to the man or the person, because a man slides in DMs or in the world.
But what is a DM?
A DM
direct message.
Okay, right. There we go.
So
direct message. DM.
We associated with Instagram, but you can direct message somebody on any and everything. It is
absolutely
direct message.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like hello.
Your friend 6 years later.
Hello, is it me you're looking for?
Hello.
Anyway. Until next week, everybody be blessed. Show some love. And my favorite thing now is to smile. It makes you feel better. I tell you, it's just it radiates the room when you come in. And thank you again for teaching our children.
Yes.
Oh, you're quite. Thank you for thanking me.
Especially,
I appreciate that.
Especially art, you know what I mean? But just it takes a lot of patience just to deal with children, period. But to the day in and day out, pour into our children. We appreciate you. Just wanted to say that if nobody has said that to you all week or day, thank you. And thank you for coming on the Chicken BOXX. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you for having me.